I like to try to keep these videos balanced, but there is just some really exciting things going on in Greensboro right now in almost all aspects of the city, whether it's talking about new jobs and new companies coming to the area, housing developments downtown, sports. There are tons of exciting things going on in Greensboro, and people don't really talk about Greensboro much. You know, it's like one of those other cities in North Carolina that just kind of flies under the radar, similar to how Winston-Salem does, and the entire triad for that matter. People always talk about the big cities, but these just kind of go unnoticed. And I want to go over some things that are just great that are happening right now throughout the city. And I always tell people, if you're comparing Winston-Salem to Greensboro, Greensboro feels more like a metropolitan city. If you need help buying or selling real estate, my contact information is on the screen and in the description below. But first, let's talk about some of the jobs that are coming to Greensboro and some of the new companies. JetZero just announced that they're going to build almost a $5 billion factory in Greensboro, right outside of PTI Airport. This is going to bring almost 15,000 jobs directly working for JetZero at an average salary of about $90,000. And JetZero is going to be a new jet manufacturer. So they're going to make a wide-body jet that is 50% more fuel efficient than a traditional airliner. It's going to have a range of about 5,000 miles. And JetZero has passenger, freight, and military applications that will plug directly into airline and airport infrastructure that is already existing. So it's really going to be kind of a plug and play scenario. Obviously, a company like this and a project this huge was courted by all the big cities and all the big companies. They chose Greensboro for its existing infrastructure and the potential within the triad itself. And just to give you an idea of the scale of a project like this, I mean, this was the largest jobs announcement in North Carolina history. It puts it on scale with places like the newly opened Toyota battery plant down in Greensboro, Randolph. Toyota Battery just opened up this year. Right now they're scaling up production, they're hiring more people, and what that did is it attracted a lot of other companies that feed off of that business and also that go kind of hand in hand with that business. I expect JetZero to do similar, especially when you consider PTI's already existing aerospace infrastructure. So not only will you see the almost 15,000 jobs that JetZero will create, you're going to see a lot of other companies come and join in there. JetZero is going to join Boom Supersonic that just completed their factory at the beginning of this year. Boom Supersonic is going to make passenger and military supersonic jets. They've been doing test flights. They've already received quite a few military orders. And like I said, the factory for Boom Supersonic was just completed at the beginning of this year. Production is slated to start early next year. And as they scale up, Boom anticipates to have passenger flights in the next few years as well. JetZero and Boom Supersonic have quickly made Greensboro one of the leading aerospace centers in the entire country. Not just the triad, not just the southeast, but really the entire country. And it's hard to overstate how important that is going to be for the growth of not just Greensboro, but the entire triad over the next decade plus. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be, you know, Raleigh or Charlotte or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying, but it is going to provide tremendous growth and a lot more high-paying jobs to the area, which the area really needs. Add in also existing companies that are in Greensboro in the aerospace industry like Honda Jet and Marshall Aerospace. This could bring an additional 25,000 new high-paying jobs to Greensboro and the surrounding area over the next decade or so. And that is huge news. Like I said, that will attract other companies, smaller and medium sized, that will come to contribute to those companies, that will supply those companies and feed off of those companies and different things like that. So really, over the next decade, just could be something really special for Greensboro in the aerospace industry. When you think about the existing structure, right, PTI right now has an additional over 700 acres that are ready to be developed, not just for aerospace, but industrial and things like that around there. And you already have companies like Amazon, FedEx, and others in the logistics field that are expanding to and around Greensboro. It's really exciting for this part of the city. And PTI is in a great spot. It's really simple to get to from Winston-Salem and the suburbs. It's simple to get to from different parts of Greensboro as well. So the Beltway was just finished around there too. So, you know, the traffic infrastructure is there. Almost no one drives on it right now. So, I mean, literally it's almost empty on a large part of the day. So it's good to see Greensboro not just ahead on the jobs front, thinking about the future, but they're really ahead of the game on the infrastructure portion as well. Because if you've been to any of those other big cities in North Carolina, you know what some of that growth can do to infrastructure. It can really bog things down. So you have all these jobs coming into Greensboro. Combine that with last year, Greensboro was ranked as the 27th best run city in the country by Wallet Hub last year. So I have high levels of confidence that the city will do the right thing. They'll run it the right way. They'll maintain a good budget and things like that. It's just really exciting. And speaking of PTI, PTI was just voted as one of the top 10 best small airports in the entire country. I think it came in at number 5. and it has quickly become my airport of choice. When I first moved here, I drove to Raleigh or Charlotte because I do prefer direct flights, but PTI is so easy to get in and out of. Parking is so much less money. The security is easy. Everything about it is so much simpler. It's quickly become my airport of choice, and people are taking notice because while airports across the country are seeing declines in flights year over year because of, uncertain economic times and things like that, PTI continues to slowly grow its flights in and out of the airport year over year, with flights being 70 to 80% full. It's that slow, steady growth that we'd like to see because it's sustainable. Now, when you have all these jobs coming to an area that already has a little bit of short housing supply, that could cause a problem for people that are going to come here. They're going to need somewhere to live, right? Well, right now there are plans to add over 29,000 new housing units throughout Greensboro. That's single family homes, townhomes, condos, and apartments throughout the city. This is scheduled to be done by 2029. And while the suburbs of Greensboro are mostly, honestly, they're kind of small towns. The suburbs around here, like, Jamestown, Summerfield, Oak Ridge, Kernersville, things like that. They're smaller towns, but they have similar projects going on, just on albeit a smaller scale. So there are plans to develop lots of housing units in the coming years to help meet some of this demand. And earlier this year, we talked about just a headline for the Triad in general. So Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, the surrounding area are going to have a huge housing shortage over the next decade or so. It's nice to see that a city like Greensboro is realizing this. They're taking steps now to add to that supply of housing so prices don't just shoot through the roof. All right, moving on to talk about some developments that are going on in downtown Greensboro. We talked about in Winston-Salem before how they have over $1 billion in development in downtown. Greensboro has about $800 million in developments going on throughout downtown and just outside of downtown, but throughout the city right now. And the video would be way too long if I'm going to talk through all of that, but one thing when I was doing research on this video and when I'm looking at commercial construction permits and looking at meeting minutes for the city and going back and reviewing some of those things, one thing kept coming up over and over again. It's balance. The question continually comes up, what are we going to do to balance green space, population density, keep from overcrowding, maintain the city's beauty? I saw it time and time again, was very refreshing. I love it when the city or county takes a look at a proposed new development, and that is always one of their top concerns. Especially when it'd be really simple to just say, yeah, let's put that there, and not have any thought into how it will integrate into the neighborhood or infrastructure, or how it's going to affect the beauty of the city or just the traffic and things like that. It was nice to see that the city and county take a thoughtful approach on this type of growth to make sure that these developments fit within the city, they improve and not hinder the quality of life for the people that are living and moving here. And one example of this is Carroll Companies that just got approval for a rezoning of a project near Friendly Center and the Botanical Gardens. This is going to be a large mixed-use project of about $70 or $80 million when it's done. It's going to have restaurant, retail, residential. It's going to have a hotel, a boutique hotel, not a chain hotel. It's going to have parking and stuff like that. But when you take a closer look at the renderings, you're going to see that it is very pedestrian focused. It's not made to have cars going through there. It prioritizes a lot of green space and will look to add to the character of the neighborhood. It will make sure it fits in right with the existing architecture and things like that. This is so nice to see, especially when, where I moved from, we had a nickname for it. It was a strip mall hell, but they would just see how many strip malls can we put in there? How many townhouses can we stack up here? They're taking a totally different approach to this, and is really nice to see. And that was a similar story with, like I said, with a lot of the other developments that I looked at and looked a little bit closer to, is Greensboro really seems to be doing it the right way. Now, Greensboro also lately has made some good scores in the sports world as well. And while Greensboro has had its ups and downs with the ACC and things like that throughout the years, they continue to attract a high level of collegiate sports. It was just announced that the Greensboro Aquatic Center will host the Big 12 Swimming and Diving Championships next year. This will bring thousands of visitors to the area to help support local businesses. And did you know there were national level pickleball championships going on now? I didn't know that either, but Greensboro just hosted one of the first ones on the national level. It brought several thousand people here and it brought in over $2 million to the city. They have plans to do more of these national pickleball championships throughout the years. So there's another one. And Greensboro was also selected as the 2025 World Cup training base camp. So not only do you have an existing high-level college sports presence here, but Greensboro continues to attract new and different things to the area for other sports as well. I love seeing a city that just kind of stays under the radar, continues to grow and move forward and do its thing, and it also does it the right way. That's one of the things that excite me most about what's going on in Greensboro right now. It's just moving forward, slow and steady, doing things the right way, not overextending budgets and running deficits and all these things like that. Greensboro just has that really unlocked. And if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate in Greensboro or any of the surrounding area, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can reach out to me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.